Hey guys, welcome to Naledi Dilena. It's your girl Naledi, and I bring to you part two. Finally, I bring to you part two of To All the Books I've Read Before. So, in the part one, which I think I uploaded like almost 3 months ago, I told you guys that I had read 28 books as of June of the lockdown up until that point in that video. And so the first 14 were explored in that video, and now the last 14 will be explored in this video. Like I said, I'm hoping that this video will serve as a way of suggesting books to some of you guys, those who are bookworms, those who are trying to get into books, all of that. Since the making of that video, or since I had counted the 28 books that I've read, I have, of course, read more books. And if you guys wanted part 3, I'll just give you guys a part 3. I don't even ask you guys. So just know that a part 3 to this video is coming up. I am yet to count the number of books, so I'm not so sure if there'll be 14 as well. But without further ado, and with you guys having subscribed, I am now going to give you the last 14 books I read during the lockdown from around about June all the way to August. Let's begin, okay? I'll be using the trusty clipboard as always. Number 1 is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the sequel to a book I mentioned in the first video, which I will link up here, hopefully. Then the second one is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany Jackson, who is an American author. Now, trigger warning to this book, it has themes of abuse. So if you're a bit sensitive and you don't want to deal with that, this is definitely not the book for you. I will say this book put me through an emotional roller coaster, okay? Like you get your feelings brought out by the book. If you're not ready for that, then don't read the book. But if you're all for an emotional challenge, definitely dive deep into this book. Oh, and abuse is to children. Sorry. I know for some people it's an added layer once children are involved, but yeah, that book goes into some of those situations, so that's a trigger warning to everyone. It's a wonderful book, actually. It's a wonderful book about friendship, about what it means to have friends, to make friends, to have people in your corner. I think that's just the main premise of the book. Then we have One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus, who is an American author. Now, this lady knew what she was doing when she wrote this book. Now, this book I enjoyed. It was the classic whodunit, mystery type of book. But I liked the setting and how people had worked to, find out who had killed the boy that died. It has a twist, mind you, a very interesting twist. If I had one qualm, is that like 2 main characters in the book fall in love, as always. So yeah, if you're somebody that absolutely hates that, get ready to meet that in this book. But this book is very, very excellent. It dives deep into the lives of teenagers. I like the fact that it doesn't like patronize them, or at least the author doesn't patronize them, doesn't write them in such a way that portrays them as dumb and incapable of making their own decisions. The other characters in the book may feel that way, may be, come across as condescending, but the writer, I feel like, tried to do justice to the teenagers, which I absolutely enjoy. Then we go to Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, a prolific Nigerian author. Then we have Redemption in Indigo by Karen Lord, who is from Barbados, I hope. It does say in the book, in the section of about the author, that she lives in Barbados. So I'm hoping that means she's also from the Barbados. But what I like about this book is that it took me to a country that I had never ever actually read about, and that is Senegal. So Redemption in Indigo is kind of like a step into the folklore, or like, the mythology of Senegal. I'm not so sure if they have like a fleshed out mythology or like a fleshed out, fantasy world in their traditions, but it kind of goes into their ideas or their way of conceptualizing the spiritual world, which I thought was very, very interesting. We hardly ever, delve deep into that, so that was nice. The characters were enjoyable, and so like basically what had happened was that this lady gets married to this gluttonous man, and because he's just so greedy and fat and just eats all the time, she runs back to her parents' home. And now one of the zombies, I think they're called zombies, like these like major principalities in the spiritual world, gives her the stick of chaos. And basically you're just going through this journey of her learning how to use the stick and just being in this new predicament in her life, which is indirectly a result of her marriage to this man that she doesn't love anymore. But you just see her grow, and you see other characters grow in relation to her situation in the book, and I absolutely love that. It is a short, wonderful book. I give it 5 stars all the way. Then we have Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed, who is an American author as well. No, Karen Lord is from Barbados, and then Kylie Reed is from the US. Then we have I'm not so sure if I can say this word on YouTube, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. Suicide Notes by Michael Thomas Ford, the US. He's from the US. This book has an LGBTQ plus tag, if that's something that you are wanting to know. It's a very, very sad book. However, it's funny. Like towards the end you figure out why it's sad, but it's a really, really funny book. Like I was laughing when I read this book. Maybe not out loud, but I was laughing. It was very funny, and it was very, I don't know, the humor was it was dry a little bit, but that's good. I love dry humor. I don't know about y'all. I love dry humor. I love sarcastic humor, which is what is prevalent in this book. So basically in this book, what you read with each chapter is each day that the protagonist spends in the mental ward of a hospital, and he's admitted there because he tried to commit suicide. And so you kind of see you go through his journey in that mental ward, and the relationships he develops with the other patients and with the doctor that is in charge of his case. So basically you're touching upon mental health issues. It also talks about teenagehood, and I love the fact that again, this author does not patronize teenagers, is not coming across as condescending towards them. The writer is trying their best to flesh out the story and the teenager as best as he can regarding the age that the teenager is in. So that was very interesting for me. Then we go to Hairdresser of Harare by Tendai Hutu, who is a Zimbabwean author. I absolutely love this book because it just, it just speaks to a reality that I know, a reality that I'm familiar with, and I think that there's just nothing that can compare to that. It touches upon certain issues that riddle Zimbabwe as we know it today, but by and large it's a fictional, enjoyable book. I would though give it a 6.42 out of 10. Not because I hate the author or the book, it's just with my reading experience, that's what I would give the book. There are LGBTQ plus themes here, so watch out for that if that's something that you're concerned about. Then we go to The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi, who is an Indian author. I absolutely loved this book. It was, I think, a bit of a big book, like 400 pages or something like that, but actually maybe 300 and something. but I absolutely enjoyed it. It brought me to a world that I'd never ever explored before, and that's because the book is set in the 1950s in India, and basically you follow the story of the protagonist, who is a henna artist in the city of Jaipur. So you follow her as she deals with her past, and as she goes to the present, and as she tries to make plans for the future. And a major thing in this book, a major theme, is like family relationships, forgiveness as well. Forgiveness is a major theme in this book. So basically, with this book, the protagonist is in Jaipur. She's a well-known henna artist, and by her door comes her little sister that she never knew existed, and of course that brings quite a lot of change in her life. It causes her to explore her past, to maybe change her present, and think about not only her future but the future of her sister. You explore things, like I said, themes of forgiveness, of friendship, of family, and just the trying times and the ways in which a woman has to navigate the world. You also get exposed to Indian culture, and that's another thing that I absolutely enjoyed. I think with this time, when I was reading, I was exposed to many cultures, and I'm very grateful for that. Then we go to The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, who is of course an American author who is one of my favorites. And then we have The Secret Lives of Babaseh's Wife by Lola Shoneyin, who is Nigerian author. Now, this author did a great job. If you're looking into African literature that's not too lengthy, this is absolutely it. Also, if you're looking for African literature that's not bogged down by colonization and all these heavy topics, this is absolutely one of them. It's a funny book. I enjoyed it. But basically, you follow the story of this family headed by Babaseh, and you enter the story at a point where he acquires a fourth wife, and so she comes into the family, and of course the family dynamics have to be shifted or changed because of her. And so you kind of see how her entry into the family is received by the other wives, by the children, by Babaseh himself, and the story unfolds from then on. There's a major twist in the story, which is actually very funny. Like, the twist is very funny, which just makes the book all the more enjoyable. I promise you will enjoy this book. Then we go to The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie again. Now, this book is a collection of short stories rather than one whole novel. So if you're somebody that's starting out with reading, I think a collection of short stories is one of the great ways you can get into that. Second last one is The Wangs versus the World by Jade Chang. She is an American author. However, she's Asian American, so she brings in that extra perspective into the book. It's another funny book that I encourage everybody to read. And basically, the premise of the story is that there's this Chinese businessman who has moved he grew up relatively okay in Taiwan, and he moves to the US, becomes super successful, but because of a wrong business decision coinciding with the 2008 recession, he goes bankrupt, and he has to restructure his life with his second wife, with his children, and you go through all of that with him and his family. The book takes a bit of a turn towards the end as he tries to return to China to try and reclaim land, because he knows that he's part of the bloodline of the royal family in China past. So you kind of go through these themes of identity, you go through themes of anger, of love, of family. It's a very, very interesting book that took me to places that I had never been to. I got to experience a little glimpse of the Asian American life through this book. So I would 100% recommend the book. And then last one, but definitely not least, is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Mokhtar and Max Chadstone. I can't even read my own handwriting. That's pathetic. But these are two American authors who have collaborated with this book. So this book, I don't know how to explain it. It is like totally different from any book that I've ever read in my life. I promise you. I will say with this book, I would recommend it to somebody who's a bit more well-read, because this can be quite a book to read. I think it needs a lot of concentration. 1, 2, because its format is so different from a lot of the books that we read. You need to have acquainted yourself with the original format of the way novels are set up for you to be able to at least make the step to a different format of a book. So if you're a beginner, I'm not so sure if this book is for you. But basically, this is a book of love, and these two agents of opposing agencies fall in love, and basically these agencies weave in and out of the time fabric to kind of change the events of time or influence the events of time in their favor. And so basically you see kind of this cat and mouse game between the two agents, which then cause them to fall in love. And it's actually set up in like a diary form, like they exchange letters, or they correspond. And so basically what you read is their correspondence, and through that you learn about them, you learn about their lives, you learn about everything. I think this also falls under fantasy a little bit, because the set of the book is very, very different. It's not ordinary. So of course there's that added aspect to the story that makes it so different. I've never read a book like this before, so I'll definitely give it that. Personally, I felt like it was a little bit slow in the beginning, but I think once you get over that, it is a book that will take you places, not just like physical places, but just places in your head. So there you have it. That's part 2 to all the books I've read before. I know you guys are gonna get a part 3 because there were more books that I read and I want to talk about them with you. I'm just not so sure how that will work out, because I just started school again, and so my time management skills need to be on 100 for me to give you all that. But I definitely want to give you that video. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so that you guys know exactly when I upload and exactly when that part 3 is coming to your screen. So yeah, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, on Instagram at Naledi_Didena. Tell me what you guys think about this video. Tell me what you guys think about the books. Have you guys read any of those books? Tell me what you guys thought about the books that you read, and tell me about the books that you want to read through my recommendations, and we can have a little conversation about the books as well. Stay blessed, please stay safe in these COVID times. People are having repeat lockdowns. Like, guys, let's just make sure that doesn't happen for us at all. And I'll see you in the next